Hey guys, welcome back to the Sparta Eye MMA channel. In today's video we're going to be looking at one of the hottest new prospects coming out of the UK, Paddy The Baddy Pimblett. Set to make his anticipated UFC debut after recently signing with the promotion. He's the newest member of the roster coming out of Liverpool, which has become a bit of a hotspot for talent out of the UK, following fighters like Darren Till and Paddy's own teammates Chris Fishgold and Molly the Meatball McCan. Honestly, there hasn't been this much anticipation for any British fighter leading up to their UFC debut. Even the fan favourite and king of memes himself, Darren Till, already had 2 fights in the UFC and it took a spectacular TKO of Donald Cowboy Cerrone before fans really started tuning in.
Doubting me, saying they didn't know who I was. I bet they fucking know now, don't they?
What's your message to those people?
Fuck them.
Paddy's carefree attitude, happy-go-lucky persona and killer instincts in the cage have got many people already comparing him to a young Conor McGregor.
It's Conrad Hayes, a cage warrior is 68, and he's gone and done it again, a cage warrior is 90. Do you doubt him now?
Predicting a huge fan following and a rise to the top in his division. His personality and charisma has won him a lot of attention, and in fact it was after this call out of Dana White after his last win that finally got him the call to the UFC.
Performance from Liverpool's own Paddy Pimblett.
So it's clear with all the media attention he's getting, he's got the UFC's backing as well as the fans' backing. The only question remaining is, does he have the skill set to back it all up? First though, before we look at his fights, I just want to show you some clips from an interview we had on the ITV. This is him explaining about how he found out about the call to join the UFC.
Fought on the Saturday and I was just in my house on the Monday and my manager rang me and gave me a FaceTime and just like broke the news to me, you know what I mean? It was just like, I was very happy to say the least. It was a bit mad, I couldn't really tell anyone. I told a couple of my very close mates, my gym family and my family, you know what I mean? And then I couldn't tell anyone.
He seems completely unfazed by the high expectations his fans have for him. When asked by the reporter if he felt any pressure as he awaits his UFC debut, here's what he had to say.
Nah, no, not really, you know what I mean? There's always pressure when you get in the cage in general. There's always pressure. It doesn't matter if you're fighting in a sports hall or you're fighting in a packed out arena. So I've had the saying since I was an amateur, there's no point in being nervous when you know you're going to win.
Like I said, the man seems completely unfazed. In fact, I'd even go as far as to say that it looks like he's been waiting for this moment his entire life. He's always believed he would be champion of the world one day, long before he ever won the featherweight championship in Cage Warriors. Looking at his record of 16-3, he's got a mix of finishes including 4 rear naked chokes and 2 flying triangles. As well as his impressive submissions, he also has 5 TKOs on his record and 9 first round finishes. His last fight was at lightweight, but heading into the UFC he has mentioned that going back down to the featherweight division is where he plans to go, feeling that this is more of his natural weight class providing he's dedicated and can keep the weight down. At 5'10" and having long legs and arms for the featherweight division, he's going to be around the same frame as Calvin Kattar, which would put him up there with the biggest in that weight class. Height-wise, there's very little difference between the featherweight division and the lightweight division, however the top contenders at lightweight all seem to be very strong. That said, Conor McGregor, Charles Oliveira and Dustin Poirier, 3 of the top 5 at lightweight, have all come from the featherweight division, as the weight cutting became increasingly more difficult. 2 of which went on to become champion in that division, and the other set to fight for the belt next. At 26 years old, it is very possible that we may just see him compete in both divisions in the UFC as his career progresses and the weight cutting becomes harder. Another important thing to mention when talking about Paddy the Baddy Pimblett is of course his injuries. In his last defeat, which was a 5-round decision against Soren Bak, Paddy had been fighting with a broken hand. After the doctors had warned him not to fight for a few months after a previous hand surgery, he went ahead and took their advice and continuously smashed it against his opponent's head. As fate would have it, the original broken bone in his hand would remain intact, but every bone around it completely shattered.
The comeback is harder than anything else, you know what I mean? The setbacks show what real fighter and real heart you've got. When everything's going sound, it's sweet, you know what I mean? You're just getting on with it, you're doing that. But then it's the setbacks what prove what real men and real fighters are, you know what I mean?
After undergoing yet another operation on the same hand, and it subsequently getting infected after the operation, Paddy was forced to have a 19-month break from his fighting career.
For a fact that my hand's never going to be the same, but that's just something you've got to do as a fighter. You can't, you're going to get injuries in this sport, what you can't change, you know what I mean? You're seeing fighters completely change their style because they've got an injury that doesn't suit that style, you know what I mean? And I've just got to get on with mine, and that's what I'm going to do.
He sounds like he's dealt with the situation as well as he could, given the fact that his entire career was potentially on the line. But it wasn't always so plain sailing. In this video Cage Warriors did for him, he does go on to say that he cried himself to sleep for 3 weeks straight when it first happened. To be honest with you though, who could blame him? He's got his entire career ahead of him, he's adored by his fans, and must have known for some time now that he's just a couple of impressive wins away from getting the call from the UFC. Now the next clip I'm going to play is his coach talking about how the injury affected Paddy and how he felt betrayed by his own body.
In a fucking nightmare, I'm looking like yeah. He's been angry and like not himself. Like I know him as like a fun-loving kid, and he's been like just a pure resentment, not towards the loss, but towards his body, because it's like the first proper serious injuries he's ever had. So like for him, it's been a very frustrating period for him, and then now he's on the road to recover. We get to see like the fun him back, you know. It's good to see, because that's the side no one sees of it really. Like everyone thinks they know people because they see them on social media or they see them fight. They don't know them, you know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, he's a 20-something-year-old lad that like wants to fight and he can't. Do you know what I mean? Like he doesn't know nothing else.
Now, me as a guy that's dealt with a horrific neck injury and still 5 years later having issues, I can relate to this so much. In fact, it completely broke me for a long time. I wasn't able to train, I couldn't sleep because every time I relaxed my neck, my left arm went numb, and I was getting fat, and it showed no signs of getting better months later. Thankfully, after about a year of physiotherapy, my neck started to improve, but it was never the same again. Which is why I understand exactly why injuries can be so career-threatening. And whenever a fighter goes through a horrific injury that puts them off on the sidelines for 18 months at least, it needs to be noted when reviewing his career and the potential of his future career. That aside, the fact that Paddy has endured such a serious injury and not let it affect him long-term mentally is a phenomenal achievement and says so much about his mental fortitude and his love for fighting. So, to answer the question, how will Paddy Pimblett fare in the UFC featherweight division? I think he's competitive. He's a well-rounded fighter that fights smart, and I think he's entering one of the most stacked divisions in the UFC. There's definitely a lot of tough opponents waiting for him in the top 15, and as long as he's not rushed to the top like Darren Till was, I think he has time to rise to the top and potentially fight for the belt in the future. I believe all the hype is justified. I believe there's a reason why the fans love him, and I think the UFC can see that too. I think they want him to succeed. And other than potentially Leon Edwards, I don't see another UK star with the potential to become champion. And I already know what you're thinking. What about Darren Till? You've mentioned him like 7 times in this video. Yes, I know Darren Till is a phenomenal fighter, but look, I don't live too far away from Darren Till, and I train with people who train with Darren, and I know people who go out with Darren and hang around with Darren. Let's just say I don't think he's very committed to his career since the Woodley fight. I think he's living life, and I don't fucking blame him for it. I don't hold any judgment about it, but yeah, in terms of ever fighting for a championship and winning a championship, no, I just don't see it for Till. I guess we'll find everything out in the future and we'll see what goes on. Who the hell knows? This is why we love this sport. It's so unpredictable. We don't have a clue what's going to go down. I can't wait for Paddy The Baddy Pimblett to have his UFC debut, and yeah, I can't wait to see how it goes on. I'm curious to see who he goes up against first. I'd like to see him go up against someone like Bryce Mitchell, someone who is ranked, someone who's already got themselves a bit of notoriety within the organisation, and I think it'd make a very competitive fight. A big shout out to my friend Blair for producing the amazing background music. If you're looking for a producer, mixer, or just love good music, then head on over to his page and give him a follow. That's the end of the video, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please don't forget to like and subscribe for more MMA content just like this and more. I'm your host, Geraint Lewis. See you next time. Peace out.